So we won't keep quiet for you, Igbo or anybody, kanu or anybody. Fight for the rights of your people, but you will not turn my own people into slaves because I want you to see me as an activist who is quoting Karl Marx. I don't join that stupid bandwagon. If you cannot vote, if you cannot go to your area, you should not come here. It's as simple as that. That's a clear message. If you are shooting young people, they could not write mathematics exams, WAEC exams. You all keep quiet. You are now speaking English in Lagos and Ibadan because your own children are here in our own midst. Where there is peace, hypocrite, non-queer, you will not vote. You won't be allowed to choose our leaders for us. Go and choose for your own people. You won't choose our leaders for us. Obi is a fraudulent person. Yeah, he knows it. Challenge me on it and let us fight. Serious. Serious, Koko. We've been keeping quiet and we've been looking at you and you think you are smart. Let us, Shegun, let them abuse me. I'm ready for them.
I will.
I'm ready for them.
In our next live virtual interview, I will ask you whether you are part of those who brought out the Oro on election day. But that will be
whether I'm part. Whether I'm sort of those who brought out Oro. No, forget. I support Oro. If they can sit at home, and they can enforce it, we also we are Oro. Yes, we will do our Oro. We will do our. It is not when you come to our place that you don't talk about one Nigeria when we are doing Oro. You talk about your right to move. We don't have a right to even open any shop, to buy, to move.
It's been all of these comments, coming from PDAPC, the Siamese twins, so, but however, we have news for them, and our principal has proven to be a man of great strength, strength of character, a man of great capacity, a competent man, a man who has the capacity to take us from consumption to production, a man of great courage. Do you know what it means to move from a supposedly leading party to an unknown party just in 8 months? And he's been able to become the conversation, even when the media wasn't courting him, even when the media was disregarding him, even when the media was calling all his supporters names. But now he is the beautiful bride. He has become the force. He has become the conversation. The reason why the world is keyed in into the next elections that is coming in 13 days' time is because of our principal, Mr. Peter Obi, a man who has great compassion and empathy. He embodies the 5 C's that you look for in a leader, a man who has offered himself, a man who keeps taking himself to the people, not a man who is running away from the people, not a man whom we don't see him talk to us, not a man who clearly tells us he's bigger than the country that he wants to govern. That's the reason why he cannot sit down and be questioned. But Peter Obi has made himself available to the people. Yesterday was electrifying. I came all the way from Abuja to Lagos. I had told myself that whenever the date for Lagos rally is fixed, I, Maureen Berry at Kabrak, would be in attendance in that rally. Because for me, Lagos must understand that at the end of it all, their people are speaking, and they are speaking loudly. And they're saying that whom they have had as a godfather in Lagos for 23 years, they're going to retire him and all the structures that they have around them. And not just that, we, the people of Nigeria, we're also speaking loudly that we're not just going to retire the one godfather that has lasted for 23 years, but that we're going to retire the entire establishment of PDAPC that has held us in captivity, that has kept us in poverty, that has weaponized poverty, that even went ahead to steal palliatives that was given to citizens, not by them. It was bought by corporate bodies. They hoarded it. Some even had their faces on it, waiting to use it for their birthdays. So that particular, these two Siamese twins that have brought us nothing but pain. When you said the past 2 weeks have been hellish, no, hero, the past 8 years has been hellish. For Nigerians, there is no longer a middle class in Nigeria. It has been erased completely. And that is why we want to erase the PDAPC too, so that we can begin to have a Nigeria that will function, a Nigeria that will work for all, a Nigeria that when we come out and we say we're Nigerians, people will be proud to hold that green passport, as our principal said, at Chatham House. And that is why we spoke loudly yesterday. The atmosphere, and I'm sure Lagos, Nigeria, and the world over heard us, and they heard us loudly.
All right. Thank you very much, Maureen. I can feel the passion, and I could feel where you were coming from. Also, your candidate has a lot of youths and young people rallying around him. How would you say his popularity is amongst the older demography? And also, how would you rate his popularity in other parts of Nigeria? You know, there has been conversations around that in the grassroots in the north might not necessarily subscribe to P2B simply because of they probably haven't heard enough of him.
You know, that's just the propaganda that the PDAPC always put out. But our principal rounded up his rally yesterday in Lagos after he had visited all the other states, Abuja inclusive. And we all saw the turnout of people from the streets. Organic love, pure love. I come from Southern Kaduna. Going to Southern Kaduna was a last-minute decision from what I learned from the party. But when they got to Southern Kaduna, what did you see? My people showed up. Because for so many years, we have been disadvantaged. For so many years, we have been looking for a leader who will come and speak to us and tell us, I share in your pain. For so many years, we have been dislodged from our farms, from our lands. And he took himself there, and you saw the love. I have a supplier who supplies me products in Abuja. So when people say, oh, they don't know him in the north. He sent me 4 voice notes yesterday, day before yesterday, because I came in from Abuja for in-house. I wish I could play it here for the world to hear. Deep words that he had for APC and PDP, PDAPC. And he said, Madam, I'm not sure I'm allowed to speak Hausa on the show here, but I would have said a few of his lines in Hausa. But he said, we're waiting. Myself, my family, my community, because he comes from Sokoto State. He imports products into the country. Now he can no longer do that because of the rate of exchange. Normally he will go back to Sokoto during the farming season. Then when the farming season is over, he comes back to Abuja and carries on importation of, the foreign goods he brings in. But it's practically impossible. He can't go to farm. Now he can't bring his products because dollars are not accessible to him. So what do you want people like? So there are, I tell you, the silent voters are in the majority. They are in that demography that you just mentioned, because we live in a cruel country where people are afraid to speak up. So people who are in that demography, probably because they built businesses, or they just, I'm still a civil servant, I don't want to talk, this, that. But trust me, they will hear them loud and clear. They have made up their minds, and 25th, those silent voters, that demography will march to their polling units, and with their PVCs, Peter's Voters Card, as we have named it, they will make their choice for a new order, for a new Nigeria that we have said is possible. Thank you.
Okay, so Ahmed, I can see that you've been itching to talk. Let's take it from our conversation before we moved on to Maureen. You mentioned some of the antecedents of Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yes.
Some people would argue that, where Lagos is and what Lagos is was not simply just built by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It was a collective effort of a lot of individuals. Taking it from that angle, your candidate is part of the ruling party.
Yes.
How difficult has it been selling his candidacy, knowing fully well that usually a ruling party is supposed to campaign on the goodwill or the existing goodwill of what the current president has done?
Okay.
But we've seen a discrepancy. Initially, your candidate came out to say we'll consolidate on what Buhari has done.
Yes.
And then we've heard some people from your party say, okay.
Erin and co. The truth of the matter is that the problem of Nigeria is the problem of all of us. We are all responsible for where we are today. And if we're going to get out of it, we all have to play our part. So the first thing I would like to say is the opportunity that His Excellency Peter Obi is not just as a result of his person, is more as a result of the process that is bringing him. I'm a student of process engineering, and the adage is that a process is perfectly designed to produce the result it produces. So it's not so much about the person of Peter Obi. It's more about the process that is bringing him. And on the other hand, too, it's not so much about the process of Asiwaju Tinubu or Alhaji Atiku. It's about the process that will bring them. Because that was the same way we trusted Buhari, because he was somebody of character, but the process that brought him eventually defeated all of us, including himself. So, but speaking to the specifics now, when Peter Obi was in Anambra State, the records are there. He met education at 26th, he left it at 1st. He was the only governor that was given the Bill Gates Prize for Health. He built the fastest teaching hospital. There are lots of big words, big things thrown around. In Nigeria, we believe too much in physical structures. Physical structures do not make people. I can give you an example. There are 30,000 primary healthcare centers in Nigeria. 30,000. 1 million children die every year. 2 every minute. By the time you finish your show in 1 hour, 60 children has died. And there are 30,000 primary care centers. So it's not about how much structures were built or how much buildings or roads or this. The question is, how has the life of the people improved? I can refer you to a website that showed the Human Development Index during the Peter Obi's tenure, how health improved, how education improved, how life expectancy improved, and how he pulled people out of poverty. These are the 4 things that are important. If there are no structures in Nigeria, but every Nigerian is educated, is healthy, is out of poverty, we will have a great country. We could have all the best structures. If Nigerians are dying and they are not educated, we will still have one of the poorest countries. That's what I'll say for now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to connect right now with Destiny Asen, who is the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor of Delta State on Entertainment. Welcome, Destiny. All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so your colleague has spoken about how Alhaji Atiku Abubakar plans to improve on education. So real quickly, we want to move on to insecurity. We already know the state of this nation when it comes to security. What is your candidate going to do about that?
First of all, I'd like to say that His Excellency has a massive plan about police reform, state police. Nigeria needs state police because I think Nigeria, the number of the citizens outnumbers the number of security personnel. So I think we need to recruit more police men and women and more personnel in the armed forces. And I think that is what His Excellency is planning to do when it comes to security in Nigeria. And to add to that, the best way to secure our country is to make use of the locals. If you have the people in Yobe should be the policemen. They should be the ones on ground. That's the only way that we're going to solve the problem of insecurity, because they understand their terrain. But when you're running a federal police system whereby you send a policeman who is from Adama to work in Enugu, there will be lots of crashes. So I think the best is to restructure, reform the Nigerian police and other security agencies, and recruit as many Nigerians as possible.
Conversation of having a state police in the mix for your candidates?
Again?
Destiny, I said it's the conversation of having a state police. I said it's the conversation of having a state police in the mix for your candidate.
I said one of the easiest way His Excellency has come up with, one of his templates on how to solve these security issues in Nigeria is the creation of the state police,
All right. Okay, Ahmed, same question goes for you in security. Your candidate is running under the platform of APC.
Yes.
And we've seen the results. It doesn't look like APC has done so much with security.
Okay, talking from the angle about what my candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, did in Lagos. Lagos was the crime center of Nigeria, if you like, before 1999, when he took over. But you see, he was talking about state police. It's just one of the instrumentalities of bringing about security or tackling insecurity in the state. There is a police formation called RRS, Rapid Response Squad, in Lagos. You would think these policemen, with the level of equipment, communication gadgets, and the kind of weaponry that they have, and the training that they have, you think they are different from the usual or the normal policemen that we have in Nigeria. But they were extracted from the Nigerian police, retrained, re-equipped by the state government, funded through the Lagos State Security Trust Fund. You see, these are institutions. These are things that are sustainable. That is why even people from the other party will say, if anybody, even a secondary school dropout, comes to become the governor of Lagos State, he will perform, because there are structures on ground. There are institutions, sustainable institutions that works. So the Lagos State Security Trust Fund has made it possible for the state government to fund the RRS, and they are everywhere. That is why it was easy. So, but one of the major things, one of the major factors of bringing about or curbing insecurity is the provision of job. Most of these things that are happening, you can see Lagos State, when I talked about the insecurity or the miscreants and everything that was in Lagos pre-1999, most of these guys that were operating Molue, that were in different shanties here and there, most of them were retrained. Most of them were absorbed from the society.
When you said retrained, what do you mean?
Yeah, they were absorbed from the society, given proper orientation. And some of them are even in these agencies like LASMA and some of these other places. You know, so they were given proper. Some of these people were not just, they found themselves where they were as whatever they were doing, not because it was what they wanted, but it was because of what the society presented. But somebody came with a vision. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he came with a vision, and it changed everything to what it is today in Lagos as one of the most secure states in Nigeria. Now, what the party has done, this APC has done since 2015. Before 2015, a huge part of the Northeast was taken over by Boko Haram with their flags here and there. Now, security is a moving target. It's not just insecurity is a moving target. If you want to solve it, you can't just solve it by saying, okay, because you cop this one. It will always pop up in one way or the other. Now, Boko Haram has been decimated. People can have other views, but Boko Haram has ended. We have another challenge in our hands, and that is banditry, the kidnapping and some other things that are going on. But the main issue about Boko Haram, this government has solved, and a lot of jobs have also been created. It will pull people out of poverty.
We're running out of time. There's a conversation I wanted us to have, because you did say that some people, were pulled out and they were retrained and reabsorbed.
I know you had a personal
but no, it's nothing personal. I just wanted to state the obvious. But quickly, because of our time, we're going to move on to Segun. So Segun, tell me, what plans?
Okay, as I said, it's more of the process than the product. So I was talking about that process re-engineering that is going on. Politically, Nigeria's history is such that a candidate will come, I can do this, I can do that. He will bring a top-down strategy, dole out money as much as he can, and we will vote for him, and we will go and sleep and wait for him to do whatever he thinks he can do. But the Labour Party movement now, the obedient movement, it started even before Peter Obi declared for president. That is the thing. So it's a bottom-up movement. We are the ones that are saying this is how we want our country to do. We are actually the ones running through Peter Obi. So insecurity is more of the people's problem, not any one person's problem. There are two ends of insecurity. There is the latent part, people who don't have jobs, who don't have food, who don't have education, who don't have health care, can result to criminality. So with a government that squeezes out corruption, like a Peter Obi-led Labour Party government, and reinvest this in improving education like he did in Anambra State, that latent criminality will be substantially reduced. And evidence, when he was in Anambra State, he was given the safest state 5 years consecutively. The records are there. So he has done it. And the system we are bringing will even enable him to do it easier because we, the people, are involved. So there will be, it is his data when he came back from Egypt about the police to citizen ratio that everybody is now quoting, including the PDP. So one of the things we've achieved as a party, we have deepened the conversation. We have provided content. We have provided context. We have provided data. So you now see everybody quoting data, everybody extrapolating, and it is all by His Excellency Peter Obi and the Obedient Movement being involved. So our security plan is comprehensive, is total, is both on the active side and on the latent side.
All right,
and
thank you.
With evidence.
Thank you very much. Apparently, there are lots of issues that we still need to discuss, but we're running out of time. So quickly, I want us to get to...
But this is a man that has shown that. This man has built trust over time. You know, a lot of people from Anambra, and the call started from inside the house. A lot of people, I remember when this started, young people were posting, when I was head boy, when I was the best graduating student, this is what Peter Obi did. Look at the transformer he brought to make sure that our school was running on electricity. Look at the number of computers that he bought, to the point that HP even commented that, you know, this is the largest purchase you have seen in the Middle East and Africa. You know, look at the cars he bought to enable security during his time, to the point that, you know, three years, the last 3 years of his tenure, there was no armed robbery in Anambra State. Look at, you know, people have things to point at. There's also the part that, you know, his money management skills and how much he was able to live for a state like Anambra. There's an antecedent, there's history. People have seen this man like, yes, he participated in Nigerian politics because politics is a conduit to governance. And you cannot say it, at this point, Terry, we do not have people who can run as independent candidates. And that's quite unfortunate. Again, in the activist part of me, we're still fighting for that. But while we don't have that, people have to join political parties. And when you join political parties, you're going to be in the mix with all sorts. But the thing that sets Peter Obi apart is when he joined, there's so many things he did to make sure that his name stands apart. Even his process of winning office, even going to the courts to make sure that he wins election. I mean, he's the first governor to have achieved that. All of those processes, even the court cases that came with that, set us on the path we are in today for people to reclaim their mandate. So this man has successfully set himself apart. It's not about where did you participate. He has to. We keep telling people, don't fold yourself. Don't say it's only bad people. If you don't participate, it's only the bad people that will participate. And then when they participate, like, oh, they're a member of the old guard. He had no choice. This is the route he had to take, the conduit towards good governance, and he delivered.
You know, you were right. I would ask you about those the antecedents in details. We'll talk about them one after the other eventually. But let me ask you this question. I've listened to you talk about the need for people to do away with the conversational structure and talk about the need for people to ignore what transactional politics is, because that will not obtain with the Labour Party.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, considering the status quo, you know, we cannot do away with what is visible or what the country is used to. And for many people, this is not something we can wish away. It does exist. How are you convincing the people in the rural areas who are practically used to being handed gift items, food items, in preparation for the elections? How are you able to convince them, or have you been able to convince them that without giving them that, they could have a better future if they vote for Peter Obi?
A lot of these people, we've gone beyond convincing. Many of these people are those who you should also be asking, so how are you going to be able to convince your next neighbor since you're a believer now? Because a lot of these people are part of those who are...
At the rural areas,
yes,
where they don't have electricity?
At the rural areas, that's sadly though that they don't have electricity and internet like the rest of us. I mean, that's a great group of Nigerians. But we've had people, you know, at the rural areas. I've had calls from my village, you know, in Jamaica local government again, people saying, look, this movement has really blown around here. Everybody's speaking about Peter Obi. In places where Peter Obi has never been to, people are calling his name. So for those who have been converted, what we're doing is door-to-door campaign. Each one tell one, each one tell 10. Preach about this. And the good thing about this is you're not going with the normal, it's siyasa. I mean, this is Hausa. That's called politics in Hausa. Siyasa, come and just, support our guy. This is what we stand to benefit monetarily or anything. You have a key message. Whoever is going out actually believes. The person believes. The person is going out with no financial inducement on their own end, nothing to gain beyond good governance. And it is with that passion people are passing the message on. And as they are passing the message on, it goes on and it spreads like wildfire with that passion. So we have this door to door. Of course, look, every step of the way, Terry, people have doubted. People have said, oh, you people are just posting on social media. It's just social media. Where is it going to go from here? And then people like, you know what? First they said 4 people. And then it looked like, these people have now dominated the social media space. And then they said it's just social media. And then these people came out to hold all of these rallies, pulled people out without financial inducements, trekked for kilometers, dominated the space, made campaigning much more difficult for other political parties. Because after looking at that crowd, now you have to spend so much money on people who are not even happy with you to come out for you. So every step of the way, and this is the next step, that rural step. And, my point for the rural step is we're on it already. And the good thing about it is we're meeting fertile ground. Many people are already passionate about Peter Obi. Many people at the rural areas are willing to take this on without any financial inducement. Our work, 90% of the work has been done for us because people are willing. The ground is fertile. Everybody wants change. But we're not leaning back and saying, oh, they are going to do it on their own. We're going to step further. And this is also a youth-led thing. A lot of young people have that energy, have that passion, and have the time to get this done. And people are doing it. I was at Zone 3 the other day, the shopping center in Zone 3. And I always like to ask the question innocently because a lot of these people will not recognize me and who are you voting for? And I remember at that, the market men at that shopping center said they went an extra step to make sure that INEC brought registration to that place and ensure that everybody in the shopping center registered and they all know who they are going to vote for. So people are, people are taking a very serious.
I totally agree with you. But the people you speak about are the ones that are really close to civilization. There are those in the ungoverned spaces who have no idea how to cast a vote without getting something else in return. And I think that to an extent, some supporters of the Obedient movement, the Obedience, sort of understand that. Because I see that on social media, some of them are going the extra step to, on behalf of Peter Obi, make donations in anticipation, sort of understanding that, listen, these ones, you cannot explain to them. You cannot make promises without putting food on their table or putting some Naira notes in their palms. So is that something that the Obedient movement, that the campaign council would encourage, despite the fact that it is one of those that you do not support transactional politics?
One of the things, what I've seen, and I think that is a good thing to do, is we are carrying out good advocacy and good projects for people. I mean, we're going to some rural areas, and while we're preaching to them, we realize that they don't have water. So instead of giving them cash, which is such a cruel thing to do, we solve a problem. And that's a problem that we would have solved anyway. So we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. If you go to a rural area and they don't have that, that machine thing that pumps the water for them, that is part of the outreach. I mean, we're looking at creative ways of taking this message. So we're not going to insult them with take onions and give us your vote. Doing something that gets the entire community to come together and work on something while you push this message to them, it's a good thing to do. And I really like that these young people are using their own resources. My resources is entering inside too, to make sure that these things are done. We're preaching the message, we're getting things done in this community that years to come, they'll remember that, look, some people came here and they remembered us and they did something. And that is also showing that, look, when we win this election, these are some of the things to come, because this is all in a day's work.
What I'm getting from you is almost this level of confidence that within a short time, this change will abruptly happen. But there are those who believe that it is progressive. This is not something that could happen within 4 months. I mean, there are those who commend what Peter Obi adds to the political space and commend the level of awareness of Nigerians, especially the youths. But they fear that the spread may not be attained within such a short time, that this is a gradual change that will come to the polity Do you see otherwise?
I think that there have been doubts every step of the way, right from when people started putting out their belief in Peter Obi, right from when people started showing that they were willing to go any legal mile, to do things to ensure that has been voted. Yeah, like I said, if I said 4 people in a room, or it's just social media, and so with all of these things, every single time doubts have been cleared. When a movement like this shows up and people are not used to what they are seeing, what they are going to keep pushing forward is doubts. Oh, what if this happens? Or you people may not be able to. But what I'll say is every time they've said you're not going to be able to do this, what the movement and what these young people and what obedience have done is to show that we can. Every step we can, and even blow it beyond your expectations. And when we blow it, they're like, oh, okay, yes, oh, okay, oh, everybody can do that. But no, not everybody can do what has been done. Not everybody can bring this level of emotional investment, physical and all sorts of investment to a campaign without inducement. So I think that I know that we're going to put all the doubters, I won't say to shame,
and
but
when?
we're going to clear their doubts right at the polls. I mean, as we're building in public. We're building right in the sight of the full public. You're seeing as we're going, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
One thing that the politicians do not take away from Peter Obi is this organic following.
Yeah.
They admit that this is something they would pay for.
They hold meetings about it, their campaign meetings.
So they admit that this is something that ordinarily
meetings.
the average politician would pay for. They see the crowds, they see the following, they see the donations and all that. But however, they do not believe. I know you don't like the conversation of structure, but they do not believe that a political party with no governor can win an election. What gives you the confidence? You understand politics, at least grassroots politics, because you've experienced it firsthand. And then I think you understand the importance of covering every polling unit. What gives you the assurance that despite these concerns, Peter Obi could win this election?
They have the big men, we have the people. That is it. We have the people on our side, and these are the people. It's not termites that vote, it's Nigerians, it's human beings. And these Nigerians have shown you time and again that this is the side they are on. Have you looked at taxis today? When you're driving around next time, just look into the next taxi beside you. You will see the Labour Party flag. These people are fully on board. All of those structures they were used to, getting, this driver, NURTW, in Abuja, in Kaduna, all of those spaces. Many of these people are in the Labour movement. You see bikes and you see them with the stickers. You see, in people's shops, you see market women with the aprons. These are the voters. These were people, again, that used to need inducement. But these are people who have now gone a step forward. They are buying these things themselves.
And you are sure that your confidence is not being fueled by what you see within the city center?
Not at all.
Or within areas where civilization is rife?
People are, and there's still, thankfully, this is a long campaign season, a long and winding campaign season. And there's so much more, so much can be done in the coming months to come. And these people are on board. If you look at the conversation of other political parties, it looks like, many people are hoping on election irregularities to win election. There's a major voice that is calling for clear elections, and it's the obedience and labor movement. When we're complaining about certain things, I'm not seeing as many people complain about the INEC recs, with the issues with INEC and all of that. It's obedience that are calling these things out, because they know that the key to Peter Obi winning elections is a well-run election. It's a strengthened INEC, an INEC that is a strong, independent institution without the intervention of politicians. And that is what we are relying on. As long as that happens and we have free and fair elections, Peter Obi is sure to win. But you see, the other things that we're bringing and what you say with a lot of this structural conversation when we mention governors and all of these things, typically what should happen is, irrespective of who is there, the will of the people should come to should be what should come to pass. But we're looking at these people, most times when we have these conversations, it's not that they have the ability to convince. You're not saying that, the governor of Kogi or any of these states has the ability to overwhelmingly convince people to buy. We're looking at where these people can use their power to shut down the system, use their power to overrun the system, and that's not right. So when we talk of structure, it should be that the will of the people all around the nation, this is how they are organizing themselves. And we should not look at these people as larger than life. One person has this much power, and his power is bigger than the institutions of the Nigerian state, and this person is going to use that power to override. No, that is not structure. Structure is the Nigerian people, and these people are everywhere, and they are going to ensure that we have a good election from their own part. What we then need from INEC is a free and fair election that shows that what the Nigerian people are bringing, irrespective of how powerful a governor or a senator is, people will be able to tell them no, as they're telling them now, that you've not done things satisfactorily and we want to try a different way.
You know, understanding grassroots politics and the power of representation makes me question if, for example, state assembly members, federal House of Representatives members and senators who are directly in touch with their constituents will not be able to convince them based on perhaps the sort of engagements they have with them and sort of development they've been able to bring to their various constituencies. If they will not be able to convince them to vote for them and their party, instead of the Labour Party.
The movement has grown to the point, and I'm sure you have seen those posters, where people, even at the grassroots level, will put themselves, APC, running for House of Reps, President, Peter Obi. It has gotten to that level where people from other political parties have had to attach, please, even though I'm running under this party, this is the person I'm campaigning for president. It has gotten to that level. This is a wind that is blowing in a very heavy manner. And even people from other political parties have admitted, look, we cannot, while I'm here, I have no choice. Maybe I should have run to Labour earlier, but I didn't know this was going to happen. I have no choice. I'm here. But please, guys, vote for me. I'm also campaigning for this guy. And that's what's happening in the rural areas. Also remember that, you know, this National Assembly legislators, National Assembly, you know, Senate, House of Reps, House of Assembly, they don't have such a high return rate. So people who are fighting for their lives are not people that will say, oh, because this person is here, we may not get votes. They don't have such a high return rate. Many of them do not, even from the primaries, many of them who are currently in power are not coming back. I remember after the elections what Femi Bajabamila was saying, and even, I don't know if the Senate president has even finished with his own encumbrances to come.
He's given up.
Oh, he has?
Yes.
Nice one. So,
you think that's nice?
Well, I mean, not for him personally, please. I have nothing against you. Not for him personally. I have things against how he runs the Senate, though, but not for him personally. Just for the system, that, you know, the system should be allowed to function. INEC should be strengthened. Election results should not be overrun because somebody went to run for something else and came back. So that's why I said nice one. However, my point is, these people have their own issues. So a low return rate, they are fighting for their own lives. And in fighting for their own lives, Terry, they are also leaning onto the Peter Obi movement because of how powerful this movement is. And this is not hearsay. You are seeing it. You're seeing these posters. You're seeing these flyers. You're seeing people at the grassroots level saying, vote for me, but you can vote for this guy at the president, at the level of the presidency. So we don't have a problem with that. We have people from other parties doing free work for us. Yeah. And that's good. That's a good thing, Terry. Because I've said this time and again, something different is happening with this election. Something different is happening. You've seen that instead of a candidate to spend so much money, people are bringing their own money. People are donating from all over to ensure that something is happening. So we must go to elections where people are emotionally invested. Every time I keep preaching this message, let's step away from inducement and pursue emotional investment.
Speaking of donations, did someone donate a jet to the campaign?
I can't confirm nor deny.
Well, we saw these images.
Yes. Actually, it was a donation. It was a donation. What I can't do is tell you the name of the person who donated. Well, but it was, and we're really, really grateful for that. I mean, see how far even people whose voices you are not hearing, are putting in their all. People are quietly, those who cannot come out and shout so much, people are quietly, and that jet has really helped. People are able to travel. I know how much other political parties spend on things like this, but we've even seen issues with, you know, I saw a complaint the other day of people using the Air Force jet. I think they were going to take relief materials or something, and they're like, these are politicians, why are they using that? But we don't have that problem. People are bringing, if it's a boat we need, Terry, somebody is going to like, I have a boat. You know, we need an office for media campaign. Someone, I have this, please come and take it. The person is not hoping to get a political position, nothing. Most times people just like, please, I just want it acknowledged that I helped. I have people quietly like, my job, I can't say anything, but please, I really want to help. In what way can I help? And we're grateful for all of that.
You know, you make it sound so smooth. I like your confidence. And it sort of makes me It takes me back to the conversation I had with the Minister of Science and Tech, who said that it would be the miracle of the century for Peter Obi to win that election. And politicians like that base their arguments on voting blocks. No one person wins an election just by winning a particular region. It's not possible. The Director General of your campaign council, Doyin Okupe, says that conversations or talks are still on with the new Nigeria People's Party, led by Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, who is also a presidential candidate. And it is not certain that if they couldn't get a merger that would produce either of them as president and vice president, that at this point he would give up his ambition to support Peter Obi. It is not clear. But what this means is that the Labour Party understands the importance of the northern votes, perhaps Kanu. So the question is, what happens, or what are the chances of the Labour Party if you don't get those northern votes, or if that alliance or merger with the New Nigeria People's Party doesn't come through? What happens to the Labour Party in the north and maybe Kanu because of the voting population there?
So another problem we tend to have is looking at the north as a monolith. Like, oh, there's just one group of people in the north, and if they don't give us their vote, we're done, right? We expect votes from Kano, yes, but there's so much that northern Nigeria is made of. Over 250 tribes. My senatorial zone alone has 53. There's so many types of people in northern Nigeria, and these so many types of people in northern Nigeria support Peter Obi. There's so much support from northern Nigeria. I mean, you saw what happened when he went to Taraba. That police had to stand between him and people, and these people were reaching out. Let me just touch the hem of this man's garment. Like, this was Taraba State. And if you talk to other Nigerians about Taraba, we're like, oh, the north, how are we going to get the votes from the north? But in places in the north, you know, these votes are coming out. And what I've been saying in the campaign is, look, we know where votes are going to come out from in the north. Go in there, pluck from your key base in the north, and come out. But we're going to get votes from northern Nigeria. That is it. Kano, all of these places are going to deliver. And when we talk about regional politics, I honestly really hate to use the short time, and every time I get is too short, to be honest. The short time I have to market Peter Obi to talk about other candidates, but to be honest, he's not running on a regional mandate. He's the person that's told, do not vote for me because I'm from this place. Vote for me because I can deliver. We have one candidate telling you Yoruba Lokon, another candidate in another party saying, oh, you know what, take away zoning from the primaries. If we take it to the north, we're sure to get the votes of the north. And then there's one candidate who is saying, irrespective of where I come from, let's look at my abilities. And we cannot refer to that candidate as a regional candidate. I'm from Kaduna State. I support this man. Two other spokespersons are from northern Nigeria. We have spokespersons from the southwest, southeast, south. I mean, all of that is covered. We have of course, the campaign DG is from South. Even the head of the media is from the Southwest. I mean, this covers so many different places. You've seen the likes of Ireti Kingibe, Nnamdi Usman. We have people. We have, just because they're not all over the media all the time. We do have people. So I do not think that Peter Obi is a regional candidate. I don't think that is the conversation I should go for. Candidates who consider themselves regional candidates and have their regions in the Southwest, for example, clearly split on who they are going to vote for should be the most worried. Candidates who are considering themselves northern candidates and cannot go and campaign in places like Borno without fracas, places like Kaduna without fracas happening, while Labour Party people have come out and held rallies in these areas peacefully, should be the people that should be questioning whether they are really the candidates of the region that they say that, you know, they are going to get the votes of those regions they say they are going to get the votes from. So that's clear.
You know, we're getting into the issues now, one of which is security. And apart from saying that he wouldn't divulge his security plans, which for some is quite commendable, he's gone a step further to talk about the need to dialogue with certain aggrieved segments of the society who feel the need to be included. When he was in Benue State a couple of days ago, he assured the people of securing them if he becomes president. Now, the concern in Benue State is largely farmers and herders. That state has enacted a law against open grazing. That topic wasn't touched. Assuring them of security without talking, without sort of either accepting the fact that that law would help or not, many would question whether he is shying away from such a controversial matter because of the tribes involved.
Yeah. So the open grazing conversation, right, is not an attack against herders. The open grazing, the banning of open grazing conversation is about a better way to herd. That's it. So I think that the wrong thing we go about this is we make it look like this is punishment to all herders for what is happening and all of that. But the truth about it is, on my way, I live just close to the station here. And on my way, I saw our cows, Nigerian cows, trekking again, and I was like, these cows are going through the most. And there's no other country really where I see these things. Where I've gone to that I really see these things. Even those with the highest number of beef output that I see this happening. This is not healthy for the herders themselves. It puts them in harm's way. A lot of herders have their cows taken away from them. A lot of herders are attacked in the bushes. So we're looking at the point that, this is not safe for all involved at this moment. And this is also not as productive. We need healthier cows, we need greater output and all of that. And I think that when you're looking at the open grazing conversation, this is the way to go about it. So for me, it's even a greater output conversation, a better way of doing this conversation. And then, and with respect to security, the key conversation with insecurity in Nigeria and what we need to face is justice, the concept of justice. And I think that is what the candidate was, I believe that's what the candidate was trying to put forward. The wording may not have been, or would have been, the wording was in a way that could have been taken advantage of. But the truth is, some of the times when something happens, they agree where it escalates is that the first person to do something does not face justice. And the people who are at the receiving end look at it and like, oh, we haven't gotten justice from the Nigerian state. And when the Nigerian state has not interpreted justice in the best way possible, or has even failed to interpret it in the first place, people begin to take the law into their own hands. And that is one of the first things we're going to approach.
Just a second. So the Nigerians want a firm candidate.
Yeah.
When the issue of the burning of the Sokoto lady, Deborah, happened, people came for the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, for the tweets that was eventually deleted. There were concerns that he wasn't firm. Now, my question was that Benue State government has taken a step to address this issue security-wise, and I'm not talking about productivity. And the government believes that preventing herders from roaming would address the issue and keep the farmers safe in their farms.
And the herders
the crop
safe
farmers,
too.
Exactly.
And the herders
so
safe
keeping
too.
both away from each other.
Not just each other. Herders come under attacks of these marauding
That's my point.
Too.
My point is, if you keep them away from each other based on the law, it will address the security concerns. Now, based on that, according to him, he's received threats saying there will be no peace in the state until that law is revoked. Where would your candidate stand on the open grazing law?
Our candidate stand on the open grazing law is still that there are better ways to graze. And because of that, like I said, it's not just about a security issue. Security is at an intersection of this. But you have to look at it from all angles. We're not even we're not among the best producers of beef in Nigeria. And with the number of herders we have, we can. So many other groups of people in Nigeria can also herd cows. So if you're looking at it from all angles, we need to have ranches. This conversation has even been held with candidates of other parties. We need to have ranches. It needs to be safer for both the herder and the farmer to do this. Outside of this crisis, there's so many things that the herders themselves face. These young children, have you seen the ages of some of the people herding cows? It's not healthy for them. So it's not just about this situation. It's that all around we need to look at this system and appreciate that the world has moved to better practices. And so it is counterproductive for Nigeria to remain in this system just for the sake of it, or because, the conversation has now left the original place in which we can make better herding practices for Nigeria. It has now entered a proper crisis situation, and every conversation we're having is within the context of that crisis, right? So it looks like groups are angry and, look, whatever it is, we're not going to accept ranching because it's going to look like the other side has won if we accept ranching. And so what we are saying and our approach to this is, it's not a matter of who has won the argument if we bring in ranching. Is that even for you herders, this approach is diplomatic. Even for you herders, this is a better way. Ranching is a better way. It's a healthier way. It's better for your children. It's better for you. It's better for all involved. So our target is also to make life easier. For even the herders themselves. Our target is to make life easier for the farmers, for the herders. It's not to punish. This is the approach, and that's why it's bringing controversy. It looks like it is to punish.
So that's the perception.
Yes, the perception is like we're punishing herders. Oh, this is happening, and so we're going to punish herders by taking away their right to move around. No.
Let's look at the antecedents of your candidates now. Let's begin with social welfare and addressing the issue of poverty. Let's look at how he fared in Anambra State. Now, that's a small state, perhaps one of the smallest states in Nigeria. And the World Bank has already released the statistics which says we have at least 95 million Nigerians who are poor now. How did he fare in addressing poverty in Anambra State?
One of the first things he did, and this is why I appreciate him as someone who is technical in his approach, that's the first governor to actually carry out poverty mapping. And I think he did it. I can't remember the name of the international organization. You mentioned World Bank, it'll be one of those. But he actually carried out poverty mapping. And that poverty mapping is what enabled, policies, because you can't just jump up and say we are going to get 5 million people out of poverty. We are going to provide, you carry what's the name, sewing machines and go and drop. You have not looked at what the issue is, and I think that is, I believe, building from that has helped. And when you come into Nigeria, as a whole, that is going to help. When you look at the situation, you first map out what are the causes. Why are we where we are? What have we done before that has led us here? All of that was done. Which are the areas that are more critically affected? Why are they affected in the manner that they are? And I believe he did that. And I also believe, this poverty thing is, it's the ground where everything comes to meet, right? You have insecurity can be something that causes it and can also be as a result. So it's a double-edged sword, right? And I believe that in sorting a lot of these things, from education, with the things he did with education, with the things that he did with healthcare, with what he did with respect to bringing in investors. Remember SAB Miller that he brought to set up their facility in Anambra State, which also helped, bring in people like Innocent. These are things that grow, number one, employment, help grow businesses, bring in investments into the state. This is a state that did not have some of these things prior and made Anambra a fertile ground for that. So as I can see that you're checking it out.
No,
so, yeah.
I'm trying to sort of follow up on what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because while you talked about the mapping, you didn't talk about perhaps statistics or programs that he put in place that addressed poverty in Anambra State.
So of course I did. I mentioned bringing in companies to come and start work. And I talked about poverty being an in and out thing, poverty being a cause of several issues, and poverty being a result of several issues. So if you look at poverty, for example, you can't remove education, right, from something this is something that causes it. And you look at what he was able to do in these schools, of course, renovations, rebuilding of some of these schools, providing materials. Right from the beginning of this conversation, I mentioned to you what he was able to do with providing a lot of computers, I think over 30,000 computers, to improve the way these children learn. Some of the people who came forward to talk about education with respect to Peter Obi's work said, look, for the first time, there was an incentive for me for doing well from the system. And this is something that helps. A poor child from nowhere, I'm carrying first in school, and the governor comes, number one, ensures that, I think some of these people got upwards of 1 million naira for being the best graduates. People have never seen that. And this helps even the poorest of the poor to focus. Look, I need to. You saw a sharp increase in their performance in WAEC. You saw a sharp increase. These are people, again, Anambra State is not the wealthiest of states, you would say that.
There are people who would not be interested in formal education. So in terms of informal education and skills acquisition, what did he do?
In terms of informal and skills acquisition, of course, this is also a place that is known for its production. And he made this better, of course, putting into place these marketplaces. A lot of the time, the infrastructure in these marketplaces were very poor. Putting into place, building some of these places for people to be able to function better, especially people who cannot usually afford these places to even work in. Enabling them. Of course, when you come to Igbo land, you know that there's a system in place that helps people. I think it's the apprenticeship system. The apprenticeship system is already in place. So when you have the system already that helps to bring up traders from rural areas and help these traders to become better, what do? You make sure that you do not stand in the way of these people getting their job done, and you create a conducive environment for them to be able to foster. And that's what he did. When you put in the infrastructure in place, you ensure that you put in that infrastructure in place, marketplaces, places where they can go and do their businesses, you ensure security, all of that for them to function. Because the situation with Anambra is peculiar. They are already business people, a lot of them spread across. When I served in the Southeast, I didn't serve in Anambra, but just the culture amongst Igbo people, I realized that you won't have people who are just straying around, who come and wash your clothes and you give them something small. Right there in Ngo, in the village, somebody has set up a washing, a laundromat, right there in the village. So this is how these places are. The best thing Peter Obi could have done and what he did was to make sure that he created a conducive environment, made sure that infrastructure was in place, marketplaces were improved upon, places where these people go to work was improved upon for them to work.
Do you know why I ask this question?
Yeah.
4 years is a short time. And the country is perhaps so, should I say, depleted. The hopes of a lot of Nigerians are depleted. And there are those who do not understand that within 4 years, most of their desires or their hopes would not be met. And poverty is one that many believe that within 4 years, there are people who have nothing who believe that once Peter Obi goes in there, in 4 years, they'll probably be doing well. And I listened to him speak with, I think, Zainasha on this matter. When he was asked about how he would address the issue of poverty, he moved to security instead, saying that if he could address security issues, that would,
because they are intertwined.
They are intertwined. That's fine. But it's difficult to explain that to the average Nigerian, that you spend time addressing insecurity instead of putting food on my table. There are governors who have gone ahead to do a lot of infrastructural projects, but that hasn't directly impacted on the poverty rates in their states.
Yeah, I mean, this is what poverty mapping does, and this is why I tied the infrastructure to the key things that were associated, this infrastructure for markets and places that people could function. Right, so when we come to the national level at this point, you're looking at poverty mapping again. We need to know what's happening. Now, if you look at insecurity, I really, really hate to pound on my governor, El-Rufai. There are things that El-Rufai has done right in Kaduna State, but one of the major issues he faces is insecurity. At the end of the day, if you touch roads, do this one, do that one, do that one. But people cannot carry about their businesses. And I'm just trying to point out the angle Peter Obi was coming from. That right now, you can say you have done A, B, C, D, E. But if people cannot function because of this, which is a great issue right now that we're facing, that many people cannot go to farms and function. Many people cannot go about their businesses. People that could carry goods across, many of these goods cannot go anymore. People can't travel across the place for business anymore in the way that they used to. This is where security, this is the intersection of security, and I think that was what he was trying to address. And the government can see we have done so much, and they tend to say that we have done so much, just that this insecurity thing. But that insecurity thing is not just that. It's a major cause of what we're going through right now. But with respect to other things, the major job of a government, right, is not to interfere with the people, but create conducive ground for people to function, and that is what we're here to do. Poverty mapping, first things first. I mean, these are things you need to hit the ground running. We also need to look at the policies that this government has put in place.
Governments are supposed to provide social security.
And that is also the things that we're saying, that, look, you're not interfering in their lives. Social security is also something conducive you are putting on ground to ensure you put social security there, and you watch your people, they blossom on their own. That's it. You're supposed to provide these things and the people blossom. So I'm saying that, look, we're looking at a lot of policies, from the FX policy of this government to import and export policies and all of that. There are key things that you can draw a straight line, like, this is what this government has done and it has led us to where we are at. Remember the problem we had with the border closure before they came and resigned on it, but that was kind of too late. So much had happened. So we're going to look at key things that have led us to where we are now, and those are some of the things we're going to face.
I really wish that manifesto was out already. So
it's going to come.
How soon will it be out?
It will soon be out. It will soon be out. A group of intellectuals are working on it. We have been sitting on this, and it is going to be out. I'm not going to excuse a delay, but a manifesto is not something that you can just cough out just because, oh, this person has one, that person has one, let me rush out. It's a serious thing. It's Nigeria we're talking about, and it takes time.
So what do we expect from that manifesto? It's not out, but there was one that was out which was withdrawn. And it contained about 7 items with details. I think Nigerians would like to know what to expect.
What to expect is a social contract with the Nigerian people, and that is what is missing. That's what is missing between the political class and Nigerians. A social contract that, look, this is what we're going to do, and it's going to make your life better. That is it. You've given us trust, and this is what we're giving in return. And of course, across a wide range of things, again, from the economy to health to education to gender, that's really my thing, to security, all of these things we're going to face. All of this, but the thematic thing binding it is that it's a social contract. Nigerians, this is what you deserve, and this is what we are going to deliver. We're not saying that 4 years we are going to perform magic, but within that 4 years, what you're going to see is a commitment to the Nigerian, to a sense of nationhood, to giving Nigerians a sense of pride, a sense of dignity, that their lives actually matter. And this is how we're going to show them that their lives matter.
Hey, let me just ask you this final question. There's so much euphoria around Peter Obi. There are polls coming out saying that he could win this thing.
Of course.
And the obedience with the massive movement believe that this is our one opportunity. If he doesn't win in 2023, what happens to the obedient movement? And what happens to this adjustment that has come to Nigerian politics?
Number one, he will win in 2023, and beyond 2023, the obedient movement will continue. This is something that has caught on like wildfire, but it's not going to die anytime soon.
So guys, Peter Obi has become their nightmare. They cannot sleep, they cannot rest without calling Peter Obi's name. A whole lot is happening in this Nigeria. You can imagine them saying that Igbos will not be allowed to vote, you know. Igbos are not going to be allowed to vote that because they cannot choose leaders of Lagos, even though they have the population in Lagos. Oh my God, that Igbos are not supposed to come and decide for them who becomes their leader. Igbos are the one paying taxes, you know. In Lagos, they own so many businesses, they pay taxes. But when it comes to election, they say Igbos should go. The person that is paying taxes that is used to develop Lagos shouldn't vote. He should go because they are not supposed to choose your leaders for you. That is the Nigeria of today. So guys, it's really, really so sad that we are here, you know. Anyway, let's go to some of the headlines. I want you to take a look at what is happening in Nigeria today. This headline here on Daily Post says, kidnappers kill abducted APC chairman after collecting ransom. It's really so sad. How my family was attacked by bandits in Niger. Magama shares painful experience. More high-profile defection coming, Speaker Abbas. That is it. APC is not after leadership. You see what is happening? People are being pied and they are talking about more defections. Nigerian pastor Timothy Omotosho said to be deported from South Africa. And then finally, bandits by 15 farmers in Kebbi community, injured 3. Federal High Court CJ replaces suspended judge, redeploys 4 others. So guys, you have seen what is happening. APC chieftain that was kidnapped in, I think which state is that? I'm going to read it so that you see what is happening in Nigeria. You listen to it for yourself. It says, the Ward 5 chairman of All Progressive Congress APC in Ose local government area of Ondo, Nelson Adekboyigi, who was kidnapped a few days ago, has been pied by his abductors. Adekboyigi was kidnapped last Monday while parking his vehicle at his residence in Ifon. Oh my God. In his own house, oh Jehovah. Following the kidnap of the APC chairman, the abductors have demanded 100 million ransom. But after a series of negotiations and pleas, it was reduced to 5 million. Adekboyigi was spied after 2 persons from his community in Ifonu volunteered to deliver the 5 million naira, but they were also captured by the kidnappers, who insisted that an additional 30 million ransom should be paid before the release of the 3. However, 2 volunteers were released by the kidnappers, with sources within the community disclosing that the kidnappers confirmed that the APC chairman had been marked to be pied by those purportedly behind his abduction. Now wow. While confirming the development, the chairman of Ose local government, Kalakpo Ojo, lamented that the security challenges in the area are now in a critical situation. This pattern of brazen abduction, even at the very gates of people's home, confirm insecurity has taken a dangerous intolerance dimension. We urge our people to remain vigilant, promptly report suspicious activities to the nearby security posts and stand on united as we work together to overcome the threats at hand. So recently, we saw many young guys who stormed Lagos. They said they want to come and work in Dangote refinery. They were coming from the north, and people were saying, why move in this group? You know, it's a danger to security, you know. Why move in groups like this? Not one, not two, not even 10. There were many of them. So the insecurity in this country is becoming alarming. And the government doesn't care. Tinubu is in France. He moves around with how many security men? We have shortage of police and military. All of them are busy guiding politicians, you know. So this APC chieftain was kidnapped at his own residence. Can you imagine that? And then they demanded 400. After negotiation, they accepted 5, but they didn't know that that 5 was just to deceive them, because they were really out to buy the man. Now, the people who went to give them that 5 were equally kidnapped, and then they demanded for another 30. After some time, they released the kidnapped and still paid the person for which the 5 million has been paid for. So possibly they must have bought him out of annoyance, and after keeping you for this, it's only 5 million you are bringing. What will 5 million do for us? Can he buy our gun? Can he buy us bullets? You know, all those stuff. When they've calculated and seen that they are losing, they just ended up buying the man. So it's really so sad, you know, what one is seeing in this Nigeria. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.